Hello, people. My name is Christian, and I am here to tell you my Amazon story. A lot of people that follow me on my social networks have been requesting information regarding what I said in the current video about my COVID experience. Go check that video out. You can find it everywhere in my social platforms. But I said in that video that I was working at Amazon and Amazon was not being cooperative, and I've had some hard times with them. So I'm here to explain that story. So I started working at Amazon in July. I got injured in August. I fell off the ladders. I had the correct shoes. I guess I didn't have my accommodations fully at that time. And from July and August, I was having some hardships with management because they would not believe that I'm diabetic. They didn't believe that I needed to take my insulin. They didn't believe that I needed to go to the bathroom because I drink a lot of water. They didn't believe that I have diabetic snacks and I have to eat something for me not to faint or feel jittery or shaky. I checked my blood sugar and it was just a hassle. And then I also wear hearing aids because I have hearing loss from my first heart procedure back in 2014. There wasn't oxygen going into my brain and it affected something in my ear. That's another story. But I wear hearing aids. I have a glucometer that I have in my stomach. I have an insulin pump. Sometimes my insulin pump doesn't want to work, and those who are diabetic would understand this. I was setting up my accommodations. I used to work for Amazon, and they did have some of those accommodations, but I guess it didn't roll over to this new building. From July and August, I'm trying to set up my accommodations. In August, I fell because they didn't believe me that I was diabetic, and I ended up having one of those episodes, and I was about to black out, and I just fell, and I don't remember what happened because it was so quick. I ended up going to the hospital. I took care of it myself. I didn't want to make a big deal because it was my first month or so, and I didn't want to make a big deal. I should have. Remember, guys, when you get injured at work, report it, period. And have witnesses. Let's see. So, September passes, and I'm having symptoms of my heart because I'm a heart patient, and that's another thing I told them about, but I was working on accommodations. They did not want to believe me. So I finally got accommodations in, and by September they were already in, and it seemed like they had a problem with it because I would request to move to different locations. I also have vertigo, and if I elevate my body, I start getting dizzy. There's different types of symptoms for vertigo. One of them is elevating your body and you start getting dizzy. So I informed them about this, and they didn't believe me. I had accommodations for that as well. Didn't want to follow them. So I just moved myself. I was not going to fall again, and I was not going to go through an incident that the me falling incident. So then I'm having issues with that. I'm having issues with trying to find a good manager to hear me out. I'm having issues with getting breaks. I'm having issues, lunch issues where, they expect for you to walk so far. I mean, the building's huge. So I just decided to literally eat in my area. And one time in September, I was eating in my area, and a manager, I didn't even know who he was, but he told me he was a manager. But I got into an altercation with him because I'm eating and I'm very desperate, and I get hangry when I don't eat, and it's time for me to eat. And being diabetic, I just get this anxiety to eat, so that I need to eat. So it's a bad thing for you to interrupt me. Don't ever interrupt me if I'm eating, especially if I have that urge, because I will be rude, and I don't mean to. But I do inform people, and this is why I communicate with people. Hey, I get hangry, I'm diabetic, I need my snacks, and I know it's a lot, but I prefer to communicate effectively and provide the information that is needed for these incidents not to happen. So it's always me having to reach out to management. It should be the other way around, because I spoke to HR and I informed them, hey, this is going on with me, and this is what I feel, what I need, or things that need to be done with me, etc. So they don't take me into consideration, period, at all. So I'm like, okay. So then I start just taking my mini breaks as I have to, and it becomes an issue. And so one day, this manager, going back to this story, comes up to me and he's like, hey, why are you eating in your area? And I'm like, well, because it takes me 15 minutes to walk to and from, and it's just a lot. And he was like, well, you're not supposed to be eating in your station. I'm like, well, I wasn't told that. And then I told him I've worked for other Amazons and it's never been an issue, but I understand. I didn't want to argue with him. Then he continued on telling me, what is your name? And I'm like, it's on my badge. Since you want to be rude, that's what I told him. It's on my badge. Look it up, but don't touch me. And he didn't like that. But I didn't like his way of expressing himself. There's ways of speaking to people, and I'm the type of person that's going to tell you when you're wrong, and I'm not going to stay quiet. So I gave him a feel of his poison. And then he's like, who's your manager? I'm like, you know what? Take a picture of my badge, and you can figure all of that out yourself. You say you're a manager, take a picture of my badge. I don't even want to speak to you right now. I said, I'm not gonna get a high blood sugar and get mad. I'm like, I have to eat. I'm not moving my area. I'm not gonna apologize for it. And he's like, you're in big trouble. I'm like, okay. I'm like, do what you need to do. And I always say this. There's my answer when then they're like, I'm gonna fire you or something. I'm like, oh, well, give me unemployment. I don't care. I know it's a little rude, but when you're rude to me, I want to be nice. But if you keep pushing my buttons, and especially if I'm hungry, it's just a wrong mix. So he finally figures out that I'm diabetic and blah, blah, blah. And he tries to apologize, and I'm like, I don't accept your apology. Your words are nothing but words. Apologies are nothing but words. It's your actions. I'm like, next time, don't approach me like you want to make an assumption. Get to know me. Ask me in a polite way. Because I am not your family. I am not directly your employee. I am not even your department. Speak to my manager. My manager can come talk to me, but I don't have to deal with you. And I said, I said, I don't go through this. I don't go around the bush. I said, I'm having issues with a lot of people here anyway, so I just keep my distance. And he's like, I just wanted to tell you, that you're not really supposed to be eating in the station. I'm like, okay. Noted. And it's really hot in my facility. And in the same month of September, I ended up almost fainting because it was so hot. And I ended up going to their clinic area. They don't even have nurses. Apparently they should, but they have ENTs that can really do nothing. And they just gave me a popsicle and told me, do you want to go home? Or, yes, but you have to use your PTO, or if you have BTO, or I don't even know, UPT, or whatever time, use it, but it will count against you if you don't have it. And then they give me the whole speech where if you go to 0, you get fired. I'm like, I'm not doing this. So I ended up leaving that day. And I just used some UPT that I had, or PTO, I don't remember what I used, because I was already feeling dizzy. I had to drive home. It was just I was not feeling it. And then when I come back, management's asked me why they didn't let them know. I'm like, I said, I let you know. And I'm the type of person that will record you if I feel some type of way of you, like if I get a negative vibe and you already give me a reason not to trust you, I'm gonna record you. So I'm like, oh really? Hold on. I take my phone and I'm like, boom. He's like, I didn't authorize you to record me, blase, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, we're in a public area. You don't own this Amazon, so I'm not gonna apologize for recording you. Public area, buddy. And I'm like, and then you wanna lie to my face and tell me you never said this. I'm like, I know what type of person you are now. I am not gonna take you serious anymore. And there's one of my managers. And I'm like, you do you, I'll do me, but stay away from me. That's literally what I told them. So I guess I'm making a lot of enemies. People don't like it when you're very assertive, when you're very truthful, when you're straight to the point and you do not play around. I mean, I learned this through the medical field. I come from the medical field. And the only reason I applied for this job was because I got furloughed from both my medical jobs. I was working for 2 hospitals, doing great, but COVID happened and boom. And so I had lost not everything, but I had lost a lot of things. And I pretty much stayed with my parents, so I didn't get hit as hard, but my income plummeted. I was already going through, I guess I call it the breakup with church, and just fighting people because, you know, they feel some type of way about me, which is another video. Because if I continue on, it's already 14 minutes. We're not gonna get anywhere. I'm not even halfway to the story. But let's see. So I already made enemies. They don't want to meet my accommodations. I have horrible managers. The communication in my warehouse is horrible. And I'm only there because I need a job and I'm looking for another one. So during that time, I'm looking for jobs. I'm trying to see what's going to happen. Then October hits and I have to have immediate heart surgery, which is another video. I keep saying another. Anyways, so I tell them, I get all the paperwork situated. I feel like I'm playing secretary or HR because I'm the one reaching out. I'm the one giving them the paperwork. I'm the one I'm the one reaching out to people, reading emails, sending emails, getting copies from doctors, and you know, of course it's my responsibility, but also it's if this